There are a good number of areas that stand out about Wyoming. Obviously, they're the defending division champions. They've played quite well here over the last 5 weeks. You look offensively, certainly a tremendous quarterback, perhaps as good a quarterback as ever played in this league. I think, you think back maybe to Alex Smith when he was at Utah, and Josh Allen is a different type of quarterback, yet big-time arm, great arm talent, tremendous body, a ton of experience, and a guy that's very effective on predetermined quarterback runs. Just the different ways that he's able to help their football team. You look at how many offensive linemen they have that are returning, and then their commitment to running the ball, and along with the balance that they have with the downfield passing game. I think, defensively, they've been, really beyond description, especially the last 4 weeks. I think, you look at them right now against the run, I think they only give up about 3.5 yards a play. Just overall, when it comes to total defense, they only give up about 4.5 yards a play. And, I always try to look at an opponent. I always try to look at least one game about 10 days prior, usually on a Wednesday afternoon. And I know you shouldn't admit that, but you just always try to at least get something in mind once you have your current plan in place. And I went and watched them against Iowa, and then I watched Iowa a little bit, saw some of what they did on Saturday, and it made me realize right away how good these guys really are defensively. So an excellent football team. I think the other part that's very noticeable is the commitment they've made to athletics. Specifically, I think if you walk inside the basketball arena, the area, the makeup of whether it's the Wildcat Lounge up top, certainly the a good bit of the investment they've made in the end zone. Really a credit to the institution. You look at their staff salaries. Sports means something there, and certainly football is very much valued. And they do a super job of being able to invest in guys. The nutrition part, in addition to knowing that, hey, we're not going to rush a guy. Now, there'll be 4 or 5 guys that play as true freshmen, but most of their guys, they do a good job of looking a little bit longer haul. And it's paid off. Just really a high-quality program.
Coach, you mentioned Josh Allen. Statistically speaking, he's a little down from where he was last year, but you seem taken away with him. Does he compare to anybody else you've seen? How good can he be, or do you think?
Yeah, he doesn't, Grant. And you look, too, obviously facing Cook, who I thought was a really good college quarterback 2 years ago at Michigan State. This guy's bigger stature, more arm talent, and better mobility, too. Even Andy Dalton. He's every bit as good a mobility as Andy Dalton, but just stature. And, again, the measurables in the arm strength. And, and it's not just being able to grip a ball and who can throw it the furthest. It's the sense of anticipation and accuracy that goes with it, too. And doesn't matter how near or how close you are to him, his ability to keep his feet planted and deliver a football. And it helps a little bit, I think, height naturally, looking over guys that are closer to you. And yet at the same time being willing to stand in there and he didn't take a lot of shots, but just his willingness to stand in there and deliver a football, I'm sure, is inspiring, especially to those guys that protect for him, too.
You briefly mentioned their defense. Right now, second in the Mountain West, and they got 23 sacks through 9 games. What else do they do special?
Well, they play the run, like I mentioned a little bit earlier. I think anytime you only give up 3.5 yards per carry against the run, or 4.5 yards per play, really in those segments, you're going to be in the top 25 in the country, in both those areas. And then turnover margin, pretty impressive too. And they have a heck of a football team. I'll tell you what, really, when you look, they had an outstanding team last year, and yet they're further along at the same point this year. And, they played a really good schedule, certainly when they caught Oregon's, when Herbert was still playing at quarterback for Oregon. And then what happened at Iowa. The Iowa film instantly it has you captive.
Did you watch the Colorado State game? What did you take away from that other than the snow?
I did. I think anytime you're able to hold Colorado State to 13 points, that says a ton. Now, the weather was a factor, certainly in the last probably 25 minutes or so of the game. yet still to do it. I mean, the first half it was not a factor, but you watch how well they played in the first half against a really, really dynamic offense.
After Saturday's game, you talked about trying to establish the run and get that going. I mean, that's bread and butter for you guys. How much of that has been a refocus during practice this week?
Well, it has to be. And yet at the same time, I think to say it and to go out and do it are two different things, especially for who you're going to play against. I mean, these guys, you look at Wyoming, I mean, they are large. They're very agile. I think they use their hands exceptionally well. That's why they don't stay blocked against the run. And you just, to which you alluded a little bit earlier, the number of sacks that they've been able to generate too.
Players after the game mentioned that they felt flat. Is there anything you can do as a coach to make sure that doesn't happen again? And as Bill Snyder said, don't let one game beat you twice.
You look at anything, it's amazing when you make a few first downs or you come up with some stops, how that plays, and it plays in other factors too, and that's what we have to do.
Scheme-wise, can you change anything defensively at this point, particularly against the run? If a team does come out in the same, I don't know what formations exactly Wyoming has shown, but if they come out in the same shotgun type look, what would change?
They do. They do. I mean, they do utilize quarterback runs, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, quarterback runs, just kind of the zone read in general that seems to have been an issue.
Yeah, I mean, they do. Now it's probably not quite as much pure, maybe with a mesh zone read, as it is a little bit of a power read, and then either a toss play or a power keep by the quarterback. But that's really a significant, not a significant part. It's a key part of their running game.
Well, I guess the question would be then, since it has proven to be an issue for you guys, is it an issue of changing personnel or scheme at this point in the season?
And we got to be a little more stout at the point of attack. That we do have to do, and have to defeat some blocks.
Are you still hopeful that your defense can make those adjustments?
As far as?
Last week you did not force a punt against Army.
Mm-hmm.
If Wyoming comes out in a similar look, would you expect a different result?
Well, I don't know if it'll be the exact same look. I do think the quarterback's going to run the ball, if that's what you're asking, as will the tailback. I mean, those are going to happen. They're going to be carries that way.
Okay. And is Tyler Williams expected to play or be available to play?
Perhaps. Yeah, he did practice yesterday, and he's making good progress. And I think hopefully here in the next week or so.
Okay. And he had his knee scoped, correct? He had surgery?
He had he had a procedure done, and it was it was just one of those. And those are, really you look at it, anytime you have one of those minor knees, it could be anywhere from about 3 weeks to 6 weeks. He's a pretty determined guy that hopefully we're able to get him out there. And I think we'll know more this afternoon because he's going to go this afternoon.
And any other major injuries
No, sir.
crop up?
Robert, we will go to you.
Troy, I appreciate your a few minutes today. I guess obviously football seasons have ebbs and flows and ups and downs, and it's job kind of a rough start, but then on a run, and then last week happened. Is this a typical season with young men, or is this kind of had more ebbs and flows to it than you've been used to in a while?
No, it's actually been pretty steady as far as our daily work. And that's what we need to do as we go out this afternoon. Also, is you keep grinding, you keep pounding away, and if we're able to do that, then you're able to make some incremental improvement.
Sure. You get a sense, obviously, you don't want to, what happened last week is done in the past. But you get a sense, at least early in the week, your guys are bounced back, still feel confident, still have an edge to them, or you have to maybe massage the not the egos, but just the confidence level with this group right now.
Well, are you saying that after you win a game, there's, just really great euphoria and too much confidence. I think it's kind of how you view that. I mean, certainly you can't get inside somebody's head, when they ask a question or maybe their own perspective. I do think there has to be consistency in the way that you work. Now I'd never, would never want to take away from somebody just feeling like, hey, I got to cover something and it's got to have some drama to it or an edge to it. Certainly that's, that's goodness. You would want somebody to be able to do that if they felt like that was most accurate.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate
Yes, sir. You're welcome, Robert.
Coach, one last for
You got it.
You got you got an 8:15 start. How does that change your preparation, the team's preparation, how you guys go about your day with such a late kickoff?
Yeah, it does. Grant, what we do, it does. Just because what you do is you have an additional meeting prior to the game, and so it does. Yep, we include a walkthrough, a little more of a thorough walkthrough in the morning. Yep, and that's something we've done here for about the last 2 years. Not exactly the same format, but we just kind of feel like it gets you locked in. Yet at the same time, it does provide you a chance to get some more additional rest too.
These TV guys, they love putting you guys on at 8:15 when you play Wyoming. I think 3 of the last 4 have been a late kickoff. What is it about this game that seems to get them excited about a late kickoff?
I don't know. I'm not a promoter. As Mr. King, who was the guy that decided when they get in the ring and whatnot? Who was that? That was the guy that kind of lined it up and then brought in the TV and the whole bit. I think part of it too, though. I mean, it's a credit to Wyoming. The quality of football that they've played, in recent years, and especially the last 2 seasons. And so it'll be a heck of a football game. I'll tell you what, like I said earlier, they are good. They are talented. I mean, really, really talented. And you even think back to last year. Quite frankly, I mean, physically, you thought these guys are large. They are athletic. The way they rush the passer, you've made that point. You look last year, I don't have it from me. I want to say like last year we had some turnovers. I think, what was it, like 3 interceptions and a fumble. We had, there were some 3 and outs, more than 4 or 5. And it wasn't like we made a ton of first. I mean, they're legit, and everything they've done investment-wise, they're reaping some of those benefits, and it's a credit to everybody there, and certainly the players and the coaches. But they are talented, really, really talented. Is that it?
Thanks, Coach.
Okay,
Thanks.
you bet.